All right, so a continuation of the past video, right? Now, this idea is there was an American wrestler, Trent Hidley, who won his first gold medal at the World Championships in wrestling a few weeks ago, right? And so a lot of it just came from this position, but it is something that you can repurpose into MMA and definitely BJJ as well. But instead of the actual techniques and the system itself, there's sort of a couple ways to think through this position, right? Decision-making wise, what happens when you get there? And so a couple things that really stuck out was, well, one, how do you actually get to that position, right? And so you're not always gonna start clinched up like this, right? And so depending on whether you wrestle, you do BJJ, or if you do MMA, the entries into that move are gonna be different. And then the timing, the transition windows are gonna be a little bit different as well. So how I see this working out in MMA is you need for them to pull you up into that clinch as a reaction, right? You don't wanna just lean forwards into it either, right? So let's say if you get head inside single leg, right? Then you can make that attachment here, right? And then once you get there, right, they might pull you up into that over under, right? So that's one option. Same thing, right? If you've got a body lock situation here, one way for them to defend it is to punch that underhook in with their right arm, right? And then we end up in the same position as well, right? So keep that in mind that getting here is often a defensive reaction on the opponent's side, right? There are a couple ways to enter as well. This isn't as MMA specific. So for example, if Quinn's got a collar tie on me, left hand, right? If I want my underhook on my right side, right? Let's say now, right? If there's a little bit more bend here, this is perfect, right? This is good for Quentin because I cannot get to those legs, right? If I try to, he's gonna just frame off with his forearm. That's perfect. So, right, I've got to address this somehow, right? So there's kind of two examples that I'll show you, right? Number one is like, I can kind of clamp down on this, pull this a little bit, right? And get this elbow to go off the center line. Once the elbow goes off the center line here, I can dig my underhook, right? Crook of my elbow goes into the lats. So I'm here, right? And now I end up in this position where I can go for those techniques, right? So that's kind of an option one. Option two, I can do the equivalent of like a cross parry, right? So this arm, this palm here, pushes the elbow across, right? Once this elbow gets pushed across, opens up, now I'm in this position here where I can gun for that technique. So one thing that stuck out from this series, right, was the urgency of once he got there, he gunned for that knee pick right away. And he basically like torpedoed his whole body into that knee pick, right? And so in wrestling, you get points for pushing somebody out of bounds, right? Not many points, but they do add up after a while. But so as soon as he entered the position, in a lot of cases, he was already gunning for the knee pick, right? And so what that might look like from the collar tie, for example, right? If I'm here, as soon as I get any kind of point of contact with my forearm, as soon as I'm chest to chest, I can gun for that knee pick right away. And so here. And so here, right? Just like that. So making that timing, right? Eliminating the transition time. Of course, if you've got good position and you can hold a good position here, right? Shoulder position and everything, right? Defensively responsible, offensively responsible here. That's fantastic. But you'll often find in the transition that you'll be able to take somebody down a lot quicker. They won't expect it immediately off of that entry, right? They'll kind of expect that dance of like a couple seconds. All right, now I'm settled. Let me look for something. But you can always get it in when they don't expect it. So sometimes, right? Sometimes they'll give you that underhook, simple dig. Sometimes you gotta set up your setups, right? So getting a setup into the underhook in the first place. That's the idea, right? And then if you do that, then you don't have to go that far into the responses, right? Most people's reaction times just aren't that fast. So as soon as you get there and you gun for the knee pick, that's usually just gonna be as simple as it gets, right? You don't have to go into the rest of the intricate system unless the other person's really been game planning you and has all these responses set for you. But for wrestling, that's not as likely until you're a world champion. If you like any of this stuff that you saw today, you can find me on Instagram, get in touch. I am at che.chayoot. That's CHE.CHAYOOT. Yep, come through, come say hi. Yeah, always happy to read your messages.